further questions? Okay.
Yes, I have a question to Pearl. What is the advantage of Hong Kong to develop the cloud computing platform compared to another area or country? Thank you.
I'm probably not the right person to advertise exactly what Hong Kong's strengths are, but I think, I mean, if we go back and use our index as a benchmark, I think that it's lots of the Hong Kong traditional strengths of being a very open, transparent, and well-established and mature economy with a very international. And then of course you go to the physical aspects of you do have data centers here, you have the landing stations for cables, etc. And like you pointed out, we're not prone to natural disasters and so forth. And I think this is what I guess our colleagues from the Hong Kong government here is letting us know, and I'm not the one to argue with them on that. Maybe you'd like to comment more on it.
Well, I think our government chief information officer mentioned a lot about what's the edge of Hong Kong, but I just want to recap a point I heard in the morning's speaker. I think it's from our Shanghai counterpart. She make a very good point about every time she come to Hong Kong, she have a very good feeling, a strong sense of the service culture of Hong Kong. And what she related to cloud is all about service. So when you build a service, you need to have that service culture in mind in terms of developing a service that is very personal and very down to individuals' needs. So that is something that I take away from that speaker. So I just want to share with the group.
Okay, maybe I take the last question from this gentleman.
Last two then.
Last two then. So, sorry.
I just have a question for Tony. Yeah, as you mentioned in your presentation that you try to reduce your provision time of the system resource from about 10 weeks to 5 days. Is that right? So I just curious that why you still need 5 days? Because if you have a system just like the Amazon Web Service, maybe you just need 5 hours to get this resource prepared. So I just curious if there any technical reason or other reasons.
That's a good one. In fact, this is only our initial target. Because as early adopters, as I mentioned, we do virtualizations, but we are still way behind what actually cloud service is provide. As you rightly pointed out, one of the key characteristics is self-provisioning, automation, and this is something that we are embarking on in our next phase of the virtualization. Before we call it an infrastructural cloud. We are just a virtualized infrastructure. So this is something that I'm asking my teams to seriously looking at on how to provide the resource, how to allow our clients to provide the resource by themselves. This is the self-provision, which, as you mentioned, Amazon is doing that. And some of the infrastructure service is also doing that. And I think it's the right way to go in order to further reduce the resource provisioning from days to hours. So thanks for your comments. And I will ask my teams to seriously looking at that. And in fact, they are doing that at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you. It only needs capital investment. We need money to install the self-provisioning tools.
Yeah, it's really good. People are really listening. Okay, may I have the last question, please?
Yeah, sure. Look, my question is more a twofold question. Looking at the index, I noticed some of the other OECD nations, such as New Zealand, was a bit further down the ladder. But there is a much bigger cloud revolution going on there as well. Now, it's all well and good that Hong Kong as a country is number 2 on that list. telling us that the country's infrastructure is ready for the cloud revolution, but are the people, the end users, ready for the cloud revolution? Because at the end of the day, it's all good that the government is driving the initiative, but it's still the end user that's going to use it. So for new market entrants and people that are providing cloud services, what is it that, how do we penetrate the market and increase the awareness? So that's the first thing. And the second thing we've noticed in markets like New Zealand and Australia, where cloud computing has been driven quite well over the last decade, one of the first issues that people point out is the machine going to take over human resources? Is there a risk of job losses? Is there a risk of me losing my job to a computer? So both of those are very realistic issues that cloud vendors like ourselves have to deal with on a daily basis. So how are we dealing with that challenge here in Hong Kong?
Thank you. Oh, the index.
Sorry, no,
Please,
I just, I mean, on the second question, I think there's of course a lot of fear, and if you look at certain aspects of cloud, it's not going to create more jobs. I mean, certainly not in the data centers and so forth. But and they're still early days, and we don't really have any empirical evidence on where it's going to go. But a recent study by an organization in Europe called the CERBS, which is the Center of Economic and Business Research, they looked at 5 top economies in Europe, and according to their claims, which has also been quoted by the World Economic Forum, they're saying that up to in the next 5 years they're going to create up to 2.3 million new jobs net. That cloud computing is going to create. Now, how reliable is the methodology behind that? I couldn't really comment on it, but that's, I think the interesting aspect is for stakeholders to look at what new opportunities does this open up for. Having said that, going back to your first question, the educational aspect and the fear factor for something new, it takes a bit of time to address why events like this are useful.
Also to answer your questions from the end user point of view, how they're using the IS, use the server. So as our experience in China is people sometimes feel the security or trust is by distance. So if in the park, if the IS provider only leave me around 1 or 2 kilometers, they're okay, trust. But if you say you're very far, they don't understand who are you. So like Amazon in China, actually only a few people use Amazon, or maybe some personal. From the government or from the industry, from the business unit, they're hard to use this. So I think that, but in the future, so we will believe is, so I agree with you, right? This is a matter of the trust. So if your business is getting the good and the marketing is good, so people I mean, most of the time people is follow. P2P, right? Peer-to-peer. So if everybody use it, just like the bank, internet bank. So I think this is the way getting started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's the government can only play a certain role in there, but I think that it is an important role. We just being one of the stakeholders, we're trying to create this SME work item where we are looking at the key inhibitors to SMEs to adopt cloud computing. And I think the nearness, the closeness to your supplier is one, because people are worried about support, not the same way that enterprises are worried about support, but in a completely different way. They're more price sensitive. They're very worried about being locked in. They're very worried about what happens with my data if I move from supplier A to B, etc. So that educational aspect, of course, when governments are driving some of these educational programs towards the SME segment is one way of doing it. We certainly should play a role in it as well to try to disseminate the kind of information, the same kind of information. Yeah.
Okay. Eddie, you want to make the last
time's up sign, but then just do one quick comment to address this. I think in addition to government, obviously commercial sectors, they will have to come out and then try to deliver these cloud computing benefit to actually all the way to the users. When they see there's a cost effectiveness coming in, right, it can help them to drive down the cost of doing business and the convenience of using it. And I guess that would help them to adopt it. And obviously, we don't want people to come in and then take it away from them and then put in additional costs by saying that, hey, this is not good. You need to put in extra security system or whatever. I think that would be very helpful to promote the whole thing. You know.
So thank you all the gentlemen for great sharing.